Hello everybody. I'd like to discuss today with you the question of the prohibition to travel to Egypt. We've discussed in another shiur the question of leaving Eretz Yisrael, of leaving Israel. And today, when we're discussing the question about whether you're allowed to go back to Egypt, we must disconnect it from the question of whether you're allowed to leave Israel or not, okay? Either we're talking about someone who's coming from another country outside of Israel and wants to go and visit Egypt, or we're going to say that we're talking about someone who is allowed to leave Israel for whatever reason. Now the question is, are they allowed to go to Egypt? The Torah tells us in 3 different places that we shouldn't go back to Egypt. 3 times it tells us not to return to the place where we were slaves, to the place where Hashem took us out of our own free will, certainly. In history, apparently there were 3 times when the Jewish people did go back there, and each time it ended very badly for us. In the time of Sancheriv, in the time of Yochanan ben Korach, and the time of Tarquinus, as is discussed in the Gemara Masechet Sukkah, where it seemed that the Jewish people in all those 3 times were killed. The Rambam, the famous Rambam, was in Egypt. He went to Egypt and he was working and serving the king there. They say that on every letter that he wrote while he was there, he used to sign at the bottom his name, Moshe ben Maimon, who is transgressing 3 lavim, 3 transgressions of the Torah every day by living here in Egypt. How was he there at all? Why didn't he leave? Why didn't he run away? They say that maybe the king forced him to stay there. The king wouldn't allow him to leave. He was the doctor to the king and an advisor to the king, and he wouldn't allow him to leave. The Ritva asks, how can it be that there are Jewish communities that went back to live in Egypt? And he doesn't really have an answer. Whereas the Radbaz answers that if you're going to Egypt and you have no intention to stay there, then it's okay. Then you're allowed to visit. But to go there with the intention to stay and settle there, that's the problem, says the Radbaz. The great Rabbi Ovadia Yosef was also a rabbi in Egypt. He went to Egypt to teach Torah, to solve questions of agunot there, to help the community that was there. How did he go there? He certainly relied on the opinion of the Radbaz that as long as you don't have an intention to settle there, then there's no issa to go back there. But so what do you do if someone just wants to go back there to see the pyramids? Does that mean we're not allowed to go and see the pyramids? What about people that want to go and pray at the grave of Rabbi Yaakov Abu Chatzira, the great Kabbalist who's buried in Egypt? Today we see many people go to his grave. The answer is that if you have a special reason that's a devar mitzvah, then you'd be allowed to go there. If you're going there to pray, to get special, to pray to Hashem at the grave of a tzaddik, that you'd be allowed to do. We see you're allowed to do that. You'd be allowed to go to Egypt for that purpose. And if someone wanted to see the pyramids, to wonder at this wonderful thing which Hashem certainly gave the knowledge to human beings to be able to build these tremendous buildings, then if that's the way you're looking at it, then you've turned your trip to see the pyramids into a devar mitzvah, and it would seem that you'd be allowed to go to Egypt for that reason. So to summarize, the prohibition to travel to Egypt certainly applies. However, if the trip is for a devar mitzvah, to pray at someone's grave, to pray at the graves of tzaddikim, or for something else which we can define as a devar mitzvah, like Rav Ovadia Yosef, who had to go there to write Gittin and teach people Torah, then we see that you are allowed to go back and live in Egypt, and that the actual issa is to go there and to settle there without the intention of leaving. That's the opinion of the Radbaz, and that would be the halakha here. Thank you.